This is Ultimate Shield 340 back at it again with another Division 2 video. I wanted to go ahead and make a video about a gear set that we don't really talk about too much that I've seen personally in the Division 2 community. The gear set in particular is called the Improvised Gear set. Well, what is the Improvised Gear and why is it useful? So, as you see here, I have the Improvised Gear set chest piece that I crafted at the station. For those of you who do not know, you will make the improvised gear set only at the crafting station. It's not something that will ever drop, but you'll be able to make the gear for whatever piece that you're looking for. You'll always get random rolls for the core attribute, either the armor core, weapon core, or skill core, and then you'll get random attributes minors that you'll see here. And if you created, say, a chest piece or a backpack like I have done here, you'll then get a randomly assigned talent to it as well. So what's the purpose of this and why is it useful? Well, in certain cases, improvised gear set could be actually the best in slot for you whenever you are looking to, complement your build, or if you're looking to get a little bit of extra oomph to your build. Anytime you create a improvised gear piece, be it a holster, knee pad, hands, whatever it may be, you always get a gear mod slot in that, just as you see here. So if you go and say, I believe I have some improvised knee pads. Yes, I have some improvised knee pads that you see here. You'll go ahead and you'll make that, and then you can actually add an extra, slot to it, and you can go ahead and sort of push your build just a little bit further past than you normally would. If you actually take a look at this piece of gear and you compare it to something else, like say, actually I'm going to switch builds here so you can kind of see it side by side. But if you look at, say, a piece that you have, we'll say this. Actually, I'll say this hand part right here, and yes. So if you take a look at these two things side by side, you'll take a look. On the right is the Wyvern set, and then on the left is the improvised gear set gloves that I have. So of course you see that both of them have the skill tiers. Wyvern automatically comes with the 10% skill damage, and then you have the two parts here, and then the empty gear slot for the left on the improvised gloves. So looking at these two things side by side, you actually get more skill damage if you, assuming if the slots were the same, right? You'll get more skill damage from the Wyvern because you get the 10% from the gear set bonus, but then you also get the skill damage in your attribute slots here, and then you get the skill haste. On the flip side, you would get, again, assuming if both of these gear slots were the same, you would just be able to get an extra mod slot. The only problem here is that the mods that you have, you can't put, there is no skill damage mod slot, right? So, depending on your build, you might want to stick with what you normally have, as a brand set bonus, or, you might want to, maybe put something else differently in that gear mod slot anyway. Maybe you want to add armor on kill. Maybe you want to add, repair skills. That gives you that flexibility for the improvised gloves, right? But here's the other side to it too, right? So I'm actually going to equip this so you can kind of look at these two things side by side. So you have the Hannah U piece that you have here, and you look at these two things again side by side. Same thing, assuming if both things were the same and the mod slots were still the same, you get the skill tier with both the improvised and the Hannah U. You would get the 10% skill haste from the Hannah U, and then you would get the skill damage and skill haste as you would, but then you would also get the empty, gear mod slot from the improvised gloves. The difference here is that if you look at this, if you look at these two things side by side, you can actually slot in skill haste and get two of the same thing here. So what I mean by that is that you see how on the Hannah U, the brand set bonus is 10% skill haste. Well, you already get 10%, you actually get a little bit more skill haste using the improvised gear set, because the minor attribute actually goes up to 12% is the maximum. The second attribute slot, You could also add skill damage like you would the Hana U side. But then the difference here is that with the improvised gear, because you have that extra mod slot, you can go ahead and you can actually add a little bit of skill haste. So for instance, you'll see here, I'll go ahead and add the skill haste mod to that as well. So again, looking at these two things side by side, say the Hana U piece will say, looking at these two things side by side, you'll notice you get the 10%, you actually get more skill haste using the minor attribute that you get from, because you actually get more skill haste from the minor attributes rather than the brand set bonus that you would get from Hana U. But then you can also add the skill damage core if you get lucky with the roll. But then you can also then add an additional skill haste to it, making this improvised gear piece much more powerful than the Hana U piece. Now, granted, it works only in this, not only in this particular situation. There are other combinations that you can go ahead and get, a little bit more out of your build if you opt to use an improvised gear over something like, a Hana U piece or something else. I'll leave that up to you to decide, what to look for. Is this right for my build? What makes sense? And this way you can make an educated guess as far as like what you want to do with it, what you don't want to do with it, what direction you want to go with it. And you can really utilize the improvised gear set to your, advantage. You could, and it's flexible. So whenever you create a brand new, improvised gear, you can go ahead and, aim for certain attributes, and you can make it flexible to be what you want in your build. So I just wanted to go ahead and make that for you. I really hope this all makes sense. I know this explanation is a little bit, it could be a little bit convoluted if you kind of don't know what I mean by all of these things. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. I can go ahead and make an updated, build to, not build, but an updated video to maybe further explain or maybe clear up any confusion that any of you may have. And, that's it. So take a look at improvised gear whenever you have a second. Really consider if this is something that you can add to your build. Does it make sense to add to my build? And, is it going to make my build that much better by looking into this and utilizing that piece of gear? So this is Ultimate Shield 340 again, signing out, and I'll see you in the Dark Zone. Peace.